Hello, my name is Terrence Jones, and this is going to be a normal faith thought. A few days ago, we celebrated Juneteenth here in America. That is the commemoration of the freeing of the last slaves that were held after the American Civil War. Another name for it is Emancipation Day or Freedom Day. But that took place back in 1865. That was 155 years ago. And after 155 years, I'm sure if you turn on your television or you look at your smartphone, you will see that there's still protests going on in this country for racial equality. It was back in 1808, 212 years ago, that they banned the importation of slaves into this country. And it was in 1619 that the first slaves were brought. That's 401 years ago. After 401 years of history, we're still having protests for racial equality. I was talking to a friend of mine about that whole fact of history and how long it has been. And he said this to me. He said, the weight of history can be a tremendous burden to overcome. The weight of history as a burden. I am sure that there are many people who might be skeptical over the rallies and over the protests and over the town hall meetings and the petitions. What difference is one more rally going to make? One more protest, one more town hall meeting? If after 401 years, this is where we are, is one more month of it going to make the difference? Is one more week of it going to make a difference? In those 401 years, there was tremendous injustice and oppression. But there were also some significant things that happened, right? There was the abolition of slavery. There was Reconstruction. There was a Civil War. There was desegregation. There was the Civil Rights Act. There was the decriminalization of interracial marriage. These things happened in those 401 years. Now, it's true that you might be able to count them on just two hands, but they were significant enough that they changed the direction and the momentum of an entire nation. I was thinking about something that the writer of Hebrews said when he talked about the men and women of faith in Hebrews chapter 11. Here were a group of people who faced seemingly insurmountable odds in their life. But because of their faith in God and belief in His promises, they were able to have hope. And at the end of that, the writer says, seeing that we have their testimonies, seeing that we know what they have done, let us now live our lives with perseverance. Because we have their example, let us look at the race that is before us and let us run with endurance. How do you overcome the weight of history? You have to use that weight to your advantage. So yes, we know that there was oppression and there was injustice, but there was also good that happened. There were men and women who fought for justice in that injustice. There were men and women who fought for freedom in that oppression. There were men and women who fought for right out of all of that wrong that took place. And because we have their example, we can't afford to be skeptical. It is because of 401 years that we can't afford not to fight. It is because of the 401 years that we can't afford not to do anything. We have to use the weight of history to our advantage. For 401 years, there have been men and women who made sacrifices, who made effort. They did the best that they could with the time that they had, and they made a difference. So what do we do now? We look at their example and let's follow it. So if we know that there's injustice taking place, if we see something, say something. If we see something, do something. There's so many ways that we can help. We can be part of the protests. We can be part of the rally. We can do something as simple as sign a petition. Or maybe it is that we just repost an article or a link on one of our social media platforms. These might sound like simple things, but they are going to make a difference. Something like listening to someone who might be feeling the weight of injustice in their own life. Just giving them a chance to share that frustration. Your presence providing a sanctuary for them to express what it is that they're going through. You have no idea what hope that can give them, the clarity it can bring to their life, and possibly the perspective to help them move forward. I don't know what works for you, but don't let 401 years work against you. I'm Terrence Jones, and this has been A Normal Faith Thought.